There are indeed dragons in the Cosmere. This shouldn't be too surprising, seeing as Brandon named his company Dragonsteel. That being said though, Brandon has been very reserved with his use of dragons within his works. In this WOB from 2015, Brandon is asked why this is. In summary, Brandon says how he isn't eager to feature dragons in his books because it has been done so well by many others. So he has mostly focused on doing his own thing. He also promises that dragons will be more important in his later works and will be prominently featured in his Dragonsteel series, as that one takes place on their home planet. It should be noted that some of what I mention is speculative or assumed, and based on unpublished works. Dragons originate from the planet of Yolin, where they are classified as Fane. Fane creatures have 6 limbs, and for a dragon, 4 legs and 2 wings, this checks out. In our current timeline, dragons have long since ventured off-planet. Cosmere dragons vary in size, but can be as large, if not larger than, a chasm fiend. They are sapient creatures with an intellect greater than the average human. Interestingly, Cosmere dragons have the ability to shapeshift and can take the form of a human. This makes it very plausible to assume that we have met or will meet a dragon in the books without us even knowing it, which can make for some interesting storytelling reveals. The way in which dragons shapeshift is unknown, but Brandon has stated that there is no direct connection to how a Kandra or dragon is able to shapeshift, just that they both can. This WOB from 2016 more or less confirms this. Dragons either do not age or stop aging, making them essentially immortal, meaning they cannot die from aging but can still be killed. How difficult it is to kill a Cosmere dragon is unknown, but I'm willing to bet we'll find out eventually. Within the released Cosmere books, we have come across 3 dragons. One is referenced and the other 2 we have physically met. The first of which is Frost. In The Way of Kings, the Part 2 epigraphs depict a conversation via a letter of Hoid warning Frost of the threat Raze, the original vessel to the Shard Odium, poses, as well as criticizing Frost's non-interference policy. The Chapter 19 epigraph reveals the clue that Hoid is indeed talking to a dragon, Frost. He holds the most frightening and terrible of all the shards. Ponder on that for a time, you old reptile, and tell me if your insistence on non-intervention holds firm, because I assure you, Raze will not be similarly inhibited. When Hoid says, "you old reptile," this equals dragon. I'm not going to read the entire letter, but it also reveals that Frost is friends with an organization called the 17th Shard, not to be confused with these guys, and that they are pursuing Hoid. Hoid also begs his old friend to support him. In Words of Radiance, the Part 4 epigraphs pertain to Frost's response to Hoid, which consists of Frost declining Hoid's request and insisting on non-intervention, ending his letter with an ominous last line stating that the Cosmere itself may depend upon our restraint. Not much else is known of Frost outside of him being even older than Hoid and likely still residing on Yolin. In this WOB, Brandon confirms that Frost is still alive. The second dragon is Koravellium Avast. Following the shattering of Adenalsium, Koravellium Avast became the vessel to the Shard cultivation. She is the only dragon confirmed to be a vessel to a Shard. She and her lover, Tanavast, vessel to the Shard honor, invested equally on the planet Rashar, becoming gods to the native Senior people. That is, before Odium's arrival. At this time, Odium had already dealt with the Shard's devotion, dominion, and ambition. Despite cultivation aiding Honor in a battle against Odium, in which Odium became bound, Honor was still splintered entirely, with his shard-bearer Tanavast killed. Since that time, Cultivation, grieving, has been plotting, as we see her creation, the Night Watcher, gives boons and banes to different characters in the Stormlight archive, and if the person can aid in her plan, Cultivation will interfere directly. What exactly her endgame is not clear. Koravellium tends to take on a human-esque form during interactions, but her true form is still that of a dragon. The third dragon is Xisis. In Brandon's recently released secret novel, Tress of the Emerald Sea, we get a close-up look at a dragon in his true form, in an interaction with Tress. Xisis' true form is that of a large, black-scaled, bearded dragon with silvery hair. Xisis has been residing on Tress's home planet of Lumar for hundreds of years, deeply fascinated by and studying the ecology of the spores. His lair is at the bottom of the Crimson Sea, and the dragon has somehow manipulated the spores in such a way to create a functioning tunnel system. Like cultivation, Xisis seems to trade in boons, although his method differs some. In the books, we see Xisis accept Captain Crow into his servitude in exchange for a boon, or in Tress's case, 3 small boons. Xisis is somehow able to cure or delay Captain Crow's Spore Eater sickness so long as she stays near Xisis. Xisis is afraid of the sorceress who is an Elantrian Awakener. Xisis himself also seems to be an Awakener of at least the 10th heightening, as we see him use magic cloths to gag Captain Crow. He seems uninterested in interfering in anything aside from his work. I, for one, am excited to see a great many more dragons in Brandon's upcoming Dragonsteel series. I just hope we get a few more guest appearances before then. The portrayal of dragons in the Cosmere is unique. Making them sapient, shape-shifting intellectuals, sometimes with a beard, is certainly a choice. Hopefully for the better, but that remains to be seen. For more Cosmere invested content, consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time.